So to solve a right triangle means you got to find all 6 parts. You're going to have to find 3 angles and 3 sides. And Jordan's right. At a minimum, you need only a minimum of 2 things. You need to know either they can give you both of the side lengths, or they can give you one of the angles and one of the sides. So they're not going to give you very much information. But here's the question. Can you solve a right triangle if all you know is angles? If you have a 30, 60, 90 and a 30, 60, 90, can you tell me how tall or along the base?
Yes.
You have to have at least one of the sides. You need to know this is maybe 10, and then if you know that, you can go from there. So you have got to have at least one side measure. So there we go. How do you undo addition? Write it in. Write it in. Subtraction. That's called an inverse operation. So if I give you this expression, 3 plus 2 is 5, but I want you to undo it. Now I'm going to say, Ricky, 3 plus what number is 5? How do you find that? You undo the addition. You subtract 3, x is 2, right? How do you undo multiplication? How do you undo multiplication? Division. Write it in. Division. So if you have 3 times 2 equals 6, can you go backwards? 3 times what number is 6? How do you solve it? Divide by 3. Divide by 3. X again is? Jordan, how do you undo a square root? What's the inverse of square root? Unsquare rooting. How do you call that? It's called squaring. So the square root of 16 is 4, but what if you go backwards? The square root of what is 4? How do you do that? You have to square the left and you have to square the right.
Yeah, but what if you don't know? Like, what if it's some huge number? How do you square?
What if you what?
What if it's not like...
Dallas, you just use a sheet of paper. I'm out. That's 9.5. Savannah, what?
What if it's like a bigger number than 16? Square root. Like, what if it's not?
Oh, that's a good question. So like this. What about the square root? The square root of what number is 5? Or not. That's a bad one. That's a bad one. Because no matter what number I choose here, if I square this side and I square this side, that number's got to be 25, right? X has to be 25. But you're thinking about this. What if it's not a perfect square?
Yeah, but...
You can go forward. It's like the square root of 7 is what? What's the square root of 7? Do it on your calculator. Some decimal. What's the square root of 7? 2.64. So now I'm going to ask you this. The square root of what equals 2.64? Blah, blah, blah.
How do I know if that's 7? You square it?
Yeah, you just square it on your calculator. You're just going to use calculator. So now, Jimmy, here's the question. How do you undo tangent? So look at this triangle right here. Do you see angle A? Stare at angle A. I'm going to ask you to, what is the tangent of angle A? What's the tangent? What's the fraction for tangent? It's opposite over adjacent. So it's going to be 2 over 2. Now look, as soon as you see these sides are 2, if these are both 2, you've got an isosceles right triangle. So what does that mean about the angles? They have to be 45, right? That's got to be a 45. That's got to be a 45. So is the tangent of angle A, 2 over 2. Tangent of angle A is 2 over 2. Everybody get your calculator out. Type in tangent of, how big was angle A? Jordan, type in tangent of 45, enter. What does it give you? Why does it give you 1? Well, what's the fraction? What's 2 divided by 2? Okay, make sure you're in degrees. So let's go check real quick. Mode, make sure I'm in degree. Type in the tangent of 45 degrees. Why is it 1? Because look on your thing right here. The tangent of A is 2 over 2. It's always going to be 1. What if you have this? Put your pencils down. Just look up at the board. What if you got this? Lexi, what are you doing? Lexi, let's say I got this triangle right here. A, B, C. And you got a 90 degree. So that's a 90 degree angle. What is the tangent of A? What's the tangent of A? It's going to be opposite over adjacent. So it's going to be 5 over 5. How big is angle A? How big is angle A? 45 degrees. That's a good question. So now, Jordan, can you do it backwards? Can you do it backwards? Can you do it backwards? Here we go on your calculator. Here's how you do it backwards. What is backwards of times? What's the backwards of add? What's the backwards of tangent? Here it is right here. Press this blue button. Press second. Press, do you see above tangent? There's tangent to the -1. That means the inverse of tangent. So press that button. So I do not know the angle. I don't know that it's a 45 degree angle, but I do know the fraction. The fraction is 2 divided by 2. So Devin, type the fraction in. I know that fraction is, look, I'll type in 2 divided by 2. And if I type in the fraction, what is it going to give me? It is going to give me the angle. Press enter. What if you type in the angle? What's it going to give you? What's that first one? What's tangent of 45? What does that give you? No, the tangent. Tangent of 45. If you type in the angle, it gives you the fraction. But if you type in the fraction, it will give you the angle. So let's go right here. Go to this slide right here. Okay, we just did this guy right here. Let's play around with the sine of 45 degrees. So on your calculator, what is the sine of 45 degrees? Type it in, press enter. What's the sine of 45? Okay, let's write that in. Let's write 0.707. 707. What else did it go? 0.707, 1067. 10. Okay, that's probably good enough. So now, let's say you know the fraction. Jordan, let's find the inverse. Let's type this in and see if it will spit out the angle. So come in here on your calculator. How do you go backwards? What are you going to have to press to go backwards? You're going to have to press the second sine. Now if you got a calculator, you can copy and paste. Just go up and grab it, press enter, and it should give you 45 degrees. Okay, so now you can go backwards. Let's do this right here. Look at number 12. Okay, look at number 12. This is going to be typical of your homework. You have got a 90-degree triangle, and they are going to give you angle R and they're giving you 20. What is 22? It's the hypotenuse. So here's what you got to find. Let's find first of all angle P. How big's angle P? How'd you get 53?
90 plus 37 equals 127, 189.
Okay, now, what do you want to find next? Ricky, you want to find QR or do you want to find PQ? Choose one. You got to find them both. You want to find PQ? Do you want to use angle 53 or do you want to use angle 37? Okay, so let's use this angle right here, and you're going to try to find PQ. So in relation to 37, is PQ the adjacent side or the opposite side? And you have 22, which was hypotenuse. So what is the fraction that uses opposite and hypotenuse? So Ricky, you're going to have to go sine of 37. And that equals the opposite, x, over the hypotenuse, 22. Jordan, what's your question? Is there another way you could find that same PQ? You could do what? It would. Well, what's the cosine of 37 going to give you? Cosine of 37 is, Jordan's right, it's the adjacent. What's adjacent to 37? It's going to be QR. So let's call this sucker X and let's call this guy Y. QR? Adjacent, yeah. Opposite would be opposite over hypotenuse. So cosine of 37 is going to be y over 22. Nice, Maddie. Okay, Simon, how big is PQ? What'd you get for how tall is PQ? Is PQ, what'd you get, 8 point something? 8.24, is that right? Did anybody else get 8.24? Sam, what is this? Change this sign over 37, change that to a decimal. What's the sign of 37? 0.6018 equals x divided 22. Now what? Times it by 22, what do you get? So what's 0.6018 times 22? Times this by 22, times this by 22. X is how big? 13.2. So PQ is a little bigger than 8.24. It's 13.2.
Sin of 37.
Sine of 37, yeah.
I didn't get 6018.
What'd you get? Type it in, let me see. Are you in degrees?
Yeah, I am.
Let's push 37. Okay, now, look, once you have got now times that by 22. So times 22. Me too. Now you have got x right here is 13.2. There's a lot of ways you could find y. You could do the Pythagorean theorem, or you could use your sine cosine. You could do a whole bunch of things. Let's do. Okay, look on 18. I want you guys to do 18. Draw a picture. Draw a picture. Dallas, your picture was right. You gotta have a 90 degree. From the top to the bottom, the height, the altitude was 4 feet. The angle was 32. Lexi, do they want you to find the hypotenuse or do they want you to find the base? So let's call this sucker X. Yeah, they want you to find the length of the ramp. So here's the ramp.
Mr. Bassett, you should go through with your calculators because they're all messed up.
Yeah, they are. So,
That one angle.
X, what is X compared to this angle? Is X opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse?
It's sine.
What about 4? Is 4 opposite or adjacent? So what one uses opposite hypotenuse? Sine. So you're going to have to use the sine of 32 equals opposite over hypotenuse, 4 over x. If you set it up like this, you probably got it right. How many of you guys got this? What's the sine of 32? 0.5299
Yep.
equals 4 divided x. Now what?
Times 4 both sides.
Let's make a proportion. Let's cross multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. 0.5299 equals 0.5299.
4 divided by that.
4 divided by 0.5299. What's 4 divided by 0.5299?
2.11.
2.11? Yeah, it's got to be 4 divided by 0.5299. 4 divided by 0.5299. Yeah, it should be bigger than 4. 7 point what?
Yeah, I got 7.5.
Span, is that what you got from the get-go? Who got it? Maria, is that what you got?